on 680 CJOB.
Hello, welcome to the show. No Jim Toth. Kelly Moore is here. Hello, Kelly.
You know, it's like that Big Bamboo Cheech and Chong. Jim's not here. Except it was Dave. Do you remember? Did you ever listen to that?
Oh, yeah. The record, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it one, like my dad, wouldn't it one side it'd say, you've been ripped?
Don't start using the dad references.
Okay, sorry. What is it? But no. That's who played it for me. Didn't one side say you've been ripped off?
Yeah.
That's the one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've listened to that a few times.
Oh, man. All the times as a teenager that I went into my bedroom and then I would try to mimic Cheech and Chong.
Yeah. Did your parents
do it?
Did your parents know what you were listening to, Kelly?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Still the case. Well, thanks.
It was a lot tamer than what my older brothers were. So
okay, that's good to know. 204-780-6868. Jets and Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line and win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program. Just coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. Still to come on the show, 164 days away from the 2026 Winter Olympics, Kelly. It's just around the corner.
Wow, you've got it down to the countdown. Do you have that on your phone?
I do. I actually have it counting. Yeah, I do have it counting down here, right? So it's coming up very, very shortly. And there's a player on the United States team that he's hoping he can play his way on. And, of course, Neil Pionk, Kyle Connor, Connor Hellebuck are Winnipeg Jets that were at this orientation camp. It's no guarantee that any of those players are going to make it. But they were
Connor Hellebuck, and I would say Connor Hellebuck's
pretty good. So it's a good chance. 99.999.
Yeah, and I still think, as much as it didn't end the way Kyle Connor wanted, not being in uniform for the Four Nations final, I still have to believe that it will be very difficult for him to play his way off.
I think it was, and maybe I just have some hometown bias, Kelly, but I think it was a mistake that they didn't have him out there as well. And then this is exciting. You set this up. The Winnipeg Jets Director of Team Operations is going to be joining us.
Yes, Chris Kreviazuk, Krev as he is known, is one of those behind-the-scenes, under-the-radar top performers for the Winnipeg Jets off the ice. We take it for granted. The schedule comes out, and then the season starts, and the Winnipeg Jets go to Pittsburgh, and then they fly off to Washington and wherever. And it all works like clockwork.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know what? It would be really interesting for our listeners and for Jets Nation to hear about, I don't know if Chris can give us all of his secrets, but I was just thinking in terms of the sheer enormity of booking hotels, making sure on-the-ground transportation is good to go. The day of games, the team meals don't just magically appear, and how much goes into exactly what is served to the players.
Well, exactly. Yeah. It's and that's what I want to ask him. He just doesn't take the company credit card and pump something in to skip the dishes.
No, clearly he has done a great job of it. Chris is now in his, I think he's going into his 13th season this year, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking forward to that because it's the logistics. I'm a guy that's fascinated by logistics, the little nitty gritty. The tiny details, it's like, hey, Connor Hellebuck says that we take care of the details, everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah,
so.
I used to do my own travel back in the days of the Manitoba.
Oh yeah, you did.
For the most part, anyway. The struggles I had for one person.
So looking forward to that conversation. And then Connor Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck just discussed him. Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Some I don't know if they're heating up or there's a lot of talk about his, and
it was hilarious the way that, I think it might have been Kyle Bukakis that came at him right off the hop with the Q&A. So we're not even going to talk Olympics. We're just going to go there.
Wow,
as far as his contract status is concerned.
So of course, he's going into his final year with the Edmonton Oilers on July 1st, 2026. He's going to be
Jim and I talked about that when you were coming back from your brother's wedding, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And if memory serves me correct, Cam, I believe 180 players besides Connor McDavid are going into their contract year for 25-26, becoming UFAs in 26-27.
And you know what? In today's National Hockey League, a lot of those guys are going to stay with the team that they're with right now. Or, things can always change. But I threw that number at you, Kelly, to start things off. 164 days away from the start of the 2026 Olympics.
Okay.
Well, here's another set of days. But these are between February 2010, February 4th, 2010, and February 18th, 2011. 379 days. And between those dates,
run those by me again.
February 4th, 2010, and February 18th, 2011.
Okay.
There was 4 major trades that I would suggest still had a huge impact on this team.
Okay.
And I would say still to this day have an impact to where this team has gone.
Okay, lay them on me.
So February 4th, 2010, and none of these trades were done by Kevin Cheveldayoff, by the way. These are all done by the Atlanta Thrashers.
Right. Rick, I'm trying to remember his name.
Dalton. No, not Rick Dalton.
No.
Oh, my God.
I'll think of his name
Dudley.
in a second. Rick Dudley, thank you.
Rick Dudley. Rick Dalton is the character from Once Upon a Time
okay,
in
don't
Hollywood.
get sidetracked.
I'm getting sidetracked. But Ilya Kovalchuk, a franchise player, was dealt to the New Jersey Devils in exchange for Johnny Oduya, who ended up was here in that inaugural season with the Jets, ended up playing 63 games. Patrice Cormier, who played over 400-plus games with the St. John's Ice Caps as well as the Manitoba Moose.
Wore the C for them during that time as well.
Absolutely. Big part of the development of a lot of players within this organization, as well as a 2010 first-round pick, which was later used by the Chicago Blackhawks to draft Kevin Hayes, because that first-round pick ended up being sent to Chicago later that June to acquire Dustin Byfuglien from the Chicago Blackhawks, as well as Ben Eager, Brent Sopel, who Sopel was actually eventually traded to Montreal that same season, along with Winnipegger Nigel Dawes. For a little bit of trivia as well. Akeem Alou never ended up, I think, even playing for the Ice Caps at that time, but he was also a part of that of that trade, as well as a Marty Reisner, Joey Crabb, Jeremy Morin, a first rounder, and a second round pick as well. That all led to later that year in July. A salary cap dump by the Chicago Blackhawks, who were in their heyday, Kelly Moore. Mm-hmm. The Atlanta Thrashers acquiring Andrew Ladd in that trade.
For?
Ivan Vanevsky, as well as a draft pick that eventually became Adam Clendenning.
Okay.
Clendenning. Yep. And then to wrap it all up, February 18th, the following year, in 2011, Rich Peverley was acquired by the Boston Bruins for Blake Wheeler and Mark Stewart to Atlanta. And, of course, the future captain of the Winnipeg Jets, Blake Wheeler, still franchise all-time leader in many categories for this organization.
And he wouldn't be human if he and both Mark.
Yeah.
If they didn't look back and what might have been had they stayed with the Boston Bruins in 2011. Rich Peverley played a very key role in the Bruins winning the Stanley Cup, but boy, I'll tell you what, Blake Wheeler and Mark Stewart have to be thinking, what if?
Well, there's no question about that, but the trade to send Ilya Kovalchuk, I mean,
so many layers.
So many layers to that. I mean, could you imagine if Ilya Kovalchuk, and they couldn't come to an agreement on a contract. There was a lot of money being thrown around. It never came into fruition. So he was traded at the deadline, before the deadline, to the New Jersey Devils. But just to think about, like, maybe Ilya Kovalchuk being a part of the Winnipeg Jets initially. I mean, but that allowed the Winnipeg Jets to acquire Dustin Byfuglien, Andrew Ladd, and eventually Blake Wheeler.
Yeah, and Mark Stewart. Remember, in the early going, Mark Stewart was a key player on that hockey club. Kind of a middle six defenseman, but a tremendous leader.
And a fan favorite, no doubt about that.
In Winnipeg, blue collar, always sells big.
You're absolutely right about that. But if you look at those 4 trades that had a major impact on this team when they first arrived here in 2011, 2012 during that season, Kelly, which one of those do you think?
Dustin Byfuglien.
Yeah, not Blake Wheeler.
No. I would say Dustin Byfuglien.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, if you look at the entire scope of Blake Wheeler's time here, then for sure. But certainly in terms of how things started for the Winnipeg Jets, and it began right with game 1 of the preseason. There was a split squad game. Half the team went to Columbus that night. The other half played here. And when Dustin Byfuglien lowered the boom on that Blue Jacket player whose name escapes me right now, I know somebody will text it into us at 204-780-6868. That might even be worth the Wash Method gift certificate.
Yeah. No, it definitely might be.
But to me, that was when Dustin Byfuglien became larger than life as a member of the Winnipeg Jets.
Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Mark Scheifele in that game too, he had 2 goals and 2 assists.
Yeah, because I know he had a great preseason.
He had a fantastic opening game.
Yeah, and the narrative was, wow, this kid's going to be great. And then, once the regular season started, the level of play turns. Although he did score his first ever NHL goal in Toronto, so that was big for him.
Yeah, and I think Paul Postma also had a fantastic opening preseason. If you can remember, 204-780-6868. Which of those trades do you think was the most impactful to this organization? And it was, you know what, Kelly, I like that you brought up that moment because it was sort of a punctuation point that the National Hockey League had officially returned.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just think that is going to live on in Winnipeg sports lore.
Let's take a break. Let's come back on the other side. As I mentioned, 164 days before the Olympics. Well, the NHL returns to the Olympics. Yeah. One player, he's still hopeful. He's at camp. He's he's aging. He's one of those aging stars. But I want to see, Kelly, your thoughts on this player and his chance to make the United States team. We'll be right back. Welcome back. 204-780-6868. Call the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15 only at BP. The number 1 caller will be awarded a $50 gift certificate to Boston Pizza tomorrow.
Nice. And Free for all Friday.
So you know what? Give me a call. Because I call the winner. I call them tomorrow. You get a personalized phone call from yours truly.
Grease a little bit of Cam's wheels, baby.
Yeah, so if you want to call a $50 gift certificate, give us a call, 204-780-6800. Patrick Kane is hoping that he can play in one more Olympic Games. The 36-year-old with the Detroit Red Wings is entering his 19th season in the NHL. Of course, longtime teammate, now Winnipeg Jet, Jonathan Toews. We're talking about the heyday of the Chicago Blackhawks just recently with Dustin Byfuglien and Andrew Ladd finding their way to Atlanta and then on to Winnipeg. But he was at the United States men's orientation camp in Plymouth this week alongside 40-plus others, which also included Neil Pionk, Kyle Connor, and Connor Hellebuyck of the Winnipeg Jets. Patrick Kane, I mean, it's all like it's...
Patrick Kane is not at the same level as Sidney Crosby, I don't believe.
No.
Or Brad Marchand, for that matter.
He would have to have a heck of a first couple of months to find his way onto this team.
I'll never, ever say never, Tim. I have learned over my years never to go that route. But I would say that it will be extremely difficult for Patrick Kane to be able to achieve that dream.
We're going to be discussing the logistics of keeping the Winnipeg Jets in the air and sleeping in soft beds.
On the ground.
All that stuff. Well, besides that, Chris Kreviazuk is going to be joining us when we return. I nerd out about this stuff. I'm excited for this conversation. You should be too. We'll be right back. Jets at Noon brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line is going to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6800. 6868. That's the call if you want to reach us on the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline. If you want to text the show, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program, which is coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bringing the team to Boston Pizza.
Just before we get to Chris Kreviazuk, who is going to be joining us here momentarily, and this is why I love the listeners of Jets at Noon. because if there's something that escapes our memory bank, they are quick to hop on. So Darren was the first to identify wearing number 11 that night for the Columbus Blue Jackets, October 20th, I believe it was, of 2011. Mm-hmm. Or no, that would have been September 20th, I think, was none other than Matt Calvert. And it was like 15 seconds into the game. Then Dustin Byfuglien decks Tomas Kubalik. And then there's the fight with Cody Bass. Yeah. All of it. The first shift of the hockey
forgot
game.
About the fight with Cody Bass, Kelly, until you brought it up there. Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, so way to go, Darren. Yeah, way to go, Darren. And I know, who else? Kevin, I think, weighed in as well.
Alan had it
as well. So did
Alan,
too. Yeah, so.
And Dom just squeezed one in here. Buff destroyed Matt Calvert in that first game. So thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate that. Hey, while you're at it, download the Jets at Noon podcast free now on Apple, Spotify, Face-to-Face on YouTube, wherever you find your favorite podcasts, with plenty of memorable Jets talk and episodes and special content exclusively found there, so you can take Jets at Noon wherever you go, wherever you want. And we discuss the preseason. How much is too much preseason? It's part of our exclusive portion of the podcast. But very patiently waiting, happy to welcome Chris Kreviazuk, Winnipeg Jets Director of Team Operations, onto the program. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, fellas, I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. Doing great. So, Chris, your job, it's, all it is, all you do is you just book X amount of hotel rooms, you charter a flight, you hang up your phone and you sit back, right? That's all you're up to.
I think that's what the players think I do sometimes when it gets to kind of February, March, and everything's sort of planned out already. I think the players look at me on the plane or on the bus and be like, "What the hell what are you doing here?" You know, because that's the sign of things going well, though. That's all the stuff that we plan this time of year. So August, September, October is kind of my busiest time of year. You plan everything out as much as you can for the whole season, and then the rest of the way you're kind of just putting out fires. So if there's no fires to put out, it looks like my feet are kicked up and I'm relaxing.
Chris, and from that perspective, Kelly Moore here, I am very curious. From when the National Hockey League full schedule comes out, usually, in that first week of July, how soon are you pounding the pavement, so to speak, to start booking those hotels, to start arranging for that ground transportation and making sure that the proper team meals are in place?
Yeah, the hotel thing takes place right away, basically. And this year, as you'll know, the schedule came out a couple weeks later than usual, so that kind of jammed me up a little bit. So I really kind of hit the ground running as soon as the schedule comes out, and I'm booking hotels pretty well right away. Like, the hotels have all been booked by now. We just finished our last couple in this past week, so I'd probably like to finish booking half of them in the first week that the schedule's out, because this year especially, the NBA schedule is coming out not long after us. Being that it's 2 weeks delayed on our part. So we wanted to get ahead of those guys because a lot of the same cities play in the NBA as well. So it's pretty well right away we start working on the hotels. I get with Arnie. I build out a master calendar. Coach Scott Arniel. I build out the master calendar of when I think we're going to fly, where we're going, obviously, and then run it by him and make sure he's on board with everything that I've just determined. And then I get to work on booking the hotels ASAP.
Right, and so from that perspective, this is a two-part question. I'm not trying to hog here, Cam, but having traveled before, I'm just fascinated by this. How do you determine the number of rooms? Because that's always evolving. And also, do you kind of have a roster of hotels in each city, or is that league mandated? Who you deal with, Chris?
No, we basically, in every city, there's kind of a consensus anywhere between, some cities only have one or two hotels that are sort of NHL appropriate, full service kind of hotels. And some have 10, like the New Yorks, the Chicagos, the LAs, there's a ton of choices. We have meetings, all my counterparts every summer, we have meetings at the draft. Not this past year, I guess, because it was decentralized, but most years we're at the draft and we sit around a round table and talk about what hotels we like this year, which ones we would steer clear of, and things like that. So we're always kind of helping each other out. There's been hotels that we've tried out. We've been the guinea pig at a couple of hotels in different cities, and then teams have asked me, how did it go? So I tell them, and we work together that way. So there's not really a list of hotels that the NHL tells us we can work with. It's whatever we want to do, but we want to make sure we're making the best decisions for our team, so we do our due diligence. As for the number of rooms that we book, we land at contracting around 53 rooms, and we end up using about 48 or 49 of them. So we just take a roster of give or take 24, 25 players, Then we plug in our staff, which is around 23 or 24, and we go from there. And sometimes it balloons up if we have an extra GM traveling, or we have some guys on the IR who are traveling and rehabbing injuries, but they're not part of the 23-man roster. Maybe Mark Chipman's joining us for a trip, things like that, corporate people. So there's a bit of discrepancy there, but typically we land around the 50 mark, I'd say.
That's so interesting that you have to like get ahead of the NBA. You know, like make sure that they don't take the rooms. Have you ever like snuck underneath and said like, yeah, we got that one before the NBA team?
Well, there's been a lot of times where we've checked into a hotel and there's an NBA team staying there. Our schedules overlap, but the hotel's large enough to take both of us. But some of the hotels we stay at are a little bit smaller, and so they can't fit all of us, especially from a banquet space standpoint, because we've got a meal room we've got to book. We've got a stretch room for the players. We've got a coach's meeting room. So there's a lot of different factors. It's not just the number of beds a hotel has, but do they have enough meeting space to take on two teams? So we get in ahead of the NBA a lot of times, but they spend an awful lot of money from what I'm told. So it's important that we get in ahead of them, because I think hotels probably, quite frankly, want their business more than ours based on the sheer number of dollars.
Well, no doubt about that. How much freedom do the players have on the road? Is that all scheduled in there?
Yeah, game days are pretty rigid. They have morning skate, as you know, and then they'll go back to the hotel, they'll eat, they'll have their nap or whatever they want to do, and then they have the game, and we move on to the next city. Usually that night we're landing at, say, 1 a.m., getting to the next spot we're going to. But then when you got practice days, that will occupy about 4 hours of their time. So we might be skating at noon, so they're busy from 10 to 2, and then the rest of the day they kind of have off to do whatever they want, whether it's just going for dinner or rehabbing an injury or whatever they want to do. So, and then off days obviously is a complete free for all. They can do whatever they want. So those are always nice to plug in when we're in warmer climates. They can maybe make a whole day of it and go golfing or something like that. So I know Arnie tries to strategically plan some of those days just to give the guys a bit of a break and get a bit of sunshine if we're in LA or Dallas or something like that.
Director of Team Operations for the Winnipeg Jets, Chris Kreviazuk, joining us. And Chris, just in terms of, you mentioned, the hotels, you mentioned the food. I would imagine that you probably have a pretty good line on who you need to talk to for transportation. But I just want to go back to what you were just talking about, practice. Is that part of your list of responsibilities, too, to make sure that practice ice is available when it's supposed to be?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I'm working on right now, too. I've made it to about the end of November, that November-December road trip. I made it to the end of that one. So I think the last stop on that one is Montreal. So I booked practice ice up until that point. If you try to book out any further than that, it's kind of obnoxious. Like, I don't really like when other teams ask me for ice in March. I'm like, I don't know if we're going to have a concert that day, so I can say yes today. But then it's kind of the ball's in my court to remember to tell them, oh, sorry, we actually booked a concert or something else is going on at the rink. So I think I try to do about 2 months out. I think that's kind of the sweet spot where a concert, if there is one, should be booked. And if not, then we can jump in on the practice rink, or the game rink, pardon me. But I will go on every arena's event calendar, and I'll just, before I ask, hey, can we get ice at your game rink, say in Anaheim, I'll look at the Honda Center schedule, and I'll see, there's a concert that night, so I won't even bother asking for the game rink, put us at the practice rink, which is never, that's not an ideal scenario, especially for our equipment guys hauling stuff around to two different rinks, but we do whatever we gotta do. But game rink is ideal. So I booked those, like I said, 2 months out, give or take.
Right on. This is just fantastic, Chris. Thanks for sharing with us. And of course, the other busy time for you, I would imagine, would be the lead up to and then NHL trading deadline day as well, because I think I'm pretty sure that if a new player comes to join the team, you're busy making sure that he and his family, if there is one, are comfortably acclimated in Winnipeg.
Yeah, this past year was kind of a hectic one because we were in Jersey, and then we got Shen and Tanev was actually, let's see, so we were in Philly, and then we left to go to Jersey, and then the Kraken were in Philly.
Yeah.
At the same hotel as us, actually. And so I just said, hey, do you want to hop in a car service and come to Jersey and meet us? If you're just there killing time, you've been traded, you want to come join us. So we got him on the road, and then as the day progressed, we kind of realized we can actually get him in the lineup tonight. And he actually played that game in Jersey just because of the proximity. So if it was really any other city, it wouldn't have worked out that way, but he ended up playing for us that night because it just worked out so well. So it was kind of interesting. I just texted the girl that I was working with at the hotel in Philly. I said, I'm not out of your hair yet. Can you book a car service for our newest player and get him on the highway? And so she made that happen for us. So it worked out well. Sometimes it works out great like that.
Well, no doubt. And wow, I mean, you said that you like to book things out 2 months in advance. What about the playoffs?
Oh, yeah.
So how does that throw a wrench into things?
Yeah, playoffs is tough. So we try to get hotels who are willing to give us a playoff clause, like a playoff guarantee, but a lot of them won't do that. And I understand it from their standpoint. It's a tough business model to hold 53 rooms, like I said, and then we're not even going to. We don't end up playing in that city. So it's been not too bad over the last few years, but I remember in 2018 we had a really tough time when we were playing Nashville in round 2, and then we were looking at playing either Vegas or San Jose. We had Vegas set up. That was no problem, but San Jose only has 2. It's kind of a smaller town than people realize, or than I realized, I guess, before I went there. But there's only 2 real NHL appropriate hotels there, and so the third place option was like an hour away in Santa Clara, I think the town is, and both those hotels that we wanted were both booked. We had to get the NHL involved to try to get them to walk some guests, which means move other guests to other hotels close by. And in the end, as you know, we didn't end up playing San Jose, so it didn't really matter. But it was kind of hectic. And I mean, I was talking to the Predators team services guy about that, and he mentioned that a year or two earlier in the finals, they had played, or in the semifinals, I guess, they had played the Sharks in a very important Game 7, and they had stayed out in Santa Clara for Game 7, and they lost that game, and it didn't go very well. The coach wasn't very happy, busing an hour into town for a semifinal, a third round playoff game. That's my nightmare right there. So we were staring down the barrel of that one, but it didn't come to fruition because we ended up playing Vegas anyway.
Are there any difficult cities or markets? I mean, you mentioned some of the struggles about San Jose, but are there any that, like, you know that you're going there and you need to be like, okay, we have to be prepared?
I don't think there's really too many. Like in most cities, there's 2 or 3 options that are going to work. And we're okay with taking option B is fine. They're all pretty good, so I can't really complain about those. None really stands out to me. That was the real standout one where it was like, this is tough sledding if we can't get in here. I don't know where we're going to go. But most places will have maybe a third or fourth option. It's just maybe at least it's close, but it's not maybe high quality. Proximity is probably a little bit more important, especially at playoff time.
Chris Kreviazuk, the Winnipeg Jets Director of Team Operations. Chris, thanks so much for joining us. I mean, this was an incredible talk. I really appreciate this, and it helps put into perspective just the amount of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to put that game on the radio here on 680 CJOB.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but I really enjoy it. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
No, it's our pleasure.
Yeah, and he's done it so well for 12 years. I know somebody texted in and said, all players check in, or is it all pre-done? I can answer that. All they have to do, because Chris has done his job, is come and get their key. Is that the case?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just walk in, they grab the key, and they're off to their room within 20 seconds. So that's a sign of a job well done, when things move smoothly. That's the best part of the job. When everything off the ice moves smoothly, and then we go and we trounce the team we're playing, then that's an ideal road trip right there.
Sounds good to me. Chris, thanks so much. You take care, okay?
Thanks, fellas. See you at the rink.
Yeah, see you there. 204-780-6868, 204-780-6868. This is some of that stuff there blew my mind, Kelly Moore.
I know. That's why when I reached out, and I really want to thank Scott Brown from Communications for helping to set that up. But I have thought about getting Krev on the air for a number of years. I don't like to bother him because he's so darn busy. But and we could go on for hours and hours with that man and never get tired.
Well, I got about 10 questions I wrote down here that we didn't even get to, so we'll have to have him
try
back
to get him on again.
You'll try to get him on again, that's for sure. All right, we'll be right back. On the other side, Connor McDavid and the pending unrestricted free agent next July. Well, the upcoming July. We'll be right back. We'll discuss that. What's going on there? Give you the latest.
Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Well, I'll miss your chance to get your thoughts on the show today. Give us a call on the Boston Pizza Jets at noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15, only at BP. The number one caller will be awarded a $50 gift card to Boston Pizza tomorrow. And I have a good feeling if you call me 204-780-6800 over the next 10, 15 minutes, you call that number, you might find yourself the winner of the gift card.
$50 in BP. I love it.
Oh, that goes a long way.
You get 3 of those lunches.
Yeah,
those new lunches.
You're absolutely right.
It's a $15 BP special.
Yeah, absolutely, Kelly. And hey, congratulations to Darren. He was the first texter in that knew that Buff nailed Matt Calvert in that first preseason game back here in Winnipeg, where he absolutely rocked him. Yeah. So congratulations to Darren. You are our VIP text, and you are going to get a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method down at 690 St. Anne's Road. So congratulations. Kelly, we'll squeeze this into the show. Connor McDavid was in Calgary for the Olympic orientation camp for Hockey Canada. And they didn't want to talk.
Everybody wanted to talk. Well, the first few questions, they eventually got around to the Olympics, but the first few questions was his pending UFA status.
Now, here was a quote, and Elliot Friedman put this out in an article, so I was able to grab that from this Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman. He has every intention to continue to win in Edmonton, but added it is not a guarantee he'd sign before the start of the season. McDavid saying, I'd say all options are on the table. I don't have a preference either way. There was another report that came out through TSN that had suggested that they had not yet discussed dollar figures. Listen, to me, that's not even weird at all. Maybe some people took that, but listen, the money's going to be there for a guy like Connor McDavid.
Absolutely. And a couple of examples. I'll go back to 2023 when all through the summer on Jets at Noon, leading into the preseason, Cam and Jim were ruminating about the potential departures of Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele. And then, of course, on Thanksgiving Monday, we just finished covering a practice. Get home and Greg Mackling says, hey, did you see the news about Hellebuck and Scheifele? No. Yeah, they've re-upped for 7 years each. And so the next day they have the news conference, and of course they're flying off to Calgary for the season opener. And then you go back to this year where the hullabaloo over Vladdy Guerrero, whether he was going to re-up. And of course the season starts, Guerrero signs. And look at how well it went for both of those teams as a result.
Well, yeah, and I remember Guerrero saying, he said, I'm not going to talk this in the middle of the season, and then he signs a contract in the middle of the season. So this is all just a part of the negotiation and how these things come out. But I think what's more important to Connor McDavid here, and I think he's reiterated that, he wants to know that the team is committed long-term over the course of his contract. He wants to win a Stanley Cup. Yeah, that's number one.
And I think that at the end of the day, the Edmonton Oilers will be the best fit for him. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Kelly Moore is going to be sticking around all the way until 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, Jeffrey Forche, for producing the show. And we're going to be back. Bring your best takes. Because tomorrow's Free for All Friday, Kelly Moore.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if I've ever done a Free for All Friday. So
get ready.
Can't wait.
Buckle up. See ya.